In the following clip you're about to watch, we're following one guy who has been documenting what appears to be an escalating series of events inside his home. And what starts as a single unsettling moment quickly builds into something that covers every hour of the day and every corner of the space he's supposed to feel safe in. It starts in his bedroom at night, phone in hand. Something on his floor has already caught his attention before he even starts filming. Watch. A large black trash bag on the floor is shaking and vibrating on its own. A heavy, distorted movement coming from inside it, like something has come alive in there. And his expression says everything about how that felt in the moment. The kind of look that tells you whatever explanation he was reaching for, he couldn't find it. That alone would be enough for most people to pack a bag and find somewhere else to sleep. But he stayed. And whatever was in that apartment with him wasn't done making its point. By the third consecutive night of activity, he's filming from his bed in a low, exhausted voice, confirming he's completely alone, not just in the room, but in the entire building. And then before anything even happens visually, you can hear it. 3 slow, deliberate knocks from somewhere in the dark around him.
Llegó la tercera noche que no sé si escuchan ese ruido, pero estoy solo, ¿me entiendes? Estoy solo en la pieza y estoy solo en mi casa. O sea, no, boludo. No, amigo, no. No, boludo, se acaba de mover. ¿Qué? No, miren, para que vean que abajo no hay nadie, boludo. Posta. O sea, no estoy jodiendo ni nada. O sea, te juro que no hay nadie, estoy yo solo acá.
The chair sitting directly in front of his bed starts moving on its own, slowly at first, then with enough intention behind it that he launches out of that bed like the floor itself is dangerous, pure adrenaline, the kind of full body reaction that your nervous system produces before your brain has even finished processing what your eyes just watched. In paranormal research, furniture that moves in close proximity to a sleeping person is considered one of the more aggressive forms of physical manifestation. Not a door drifting open in an empty room across the house, but something operating within arm's reach of where you lay your head, in the space where you are most completely vulnerable. And whatever is in that apartment is making very clear that it has no intention of keeping its distance. And it doesn't stop there. Around 1 a.m. on another night, he steps out into his hallway because something has been knocking on his door. And as he points the camera toward a dark doorway, a tall, pale face peers out from behind the frame and vanishes the instant the light hits it.
Capto un fantasma en video.
No sé qué pasa, boludo. Estoy en mi pieza queriendo dormir, boludo, y me toca la puerta toda la noche, amigo. Son como las 1 de la mañana. No hay nada. No, amigo, ¿qué mierda es eso, boludo? ¿Qué mierda sos, la concha de tu madre? Boludo, no. Amigo, no hay nadie, boludo. No. De hoy se está escuchando esa mierda. ¿Qué? No, boludo, no. No. Encima voy a buscar la ventana, boludo. No hay nadie, amigo. O sea, no hay chance que haya salido alguien por acá, boludo. No, amigo, no. No, amigo, de nuevo esto. Pero qué mierda, boludo. No enloquecer, boludo.
He sweeps the entire apartment in a panic, and as he moves through it, the wind chimes hanging in an interior doorway start moving and ringing on their own, despite every window being closed and every door shut. He checks all of them on camera, one by one, finding nothing that accounts for the movement. And on the floor, the same object that keeps getting displaced moved to the wrong place again, sitting exactly where it doesn't belong, the same way it has before. That repeating detail is what unsettles people most about this one, because a random scare is just a scare, but a pattern suggests something with intent behind it, something that knows the layout of that apartment well enough to keep leaving the same signature in the same spot. In paranormal theory, this kind of escalating activity that moves from mild disturbances to close physical interaction to a visible manifestation over a short period of time is consistent with a poltergeist phenomenon, an entity that feeds off the anxiety it generates, using each reaction as fuel to push further, get closer, and make itself increasingly difficult to ignore. The trash bag giving way to knocking, the knocking giving way to the chair giving way to a face at the doorway, each step landing somewhere he thought was still safe. What makes the final piece of footage the most disorienting is how completely ordinary it starts. Daytime, bright room, he's standing on a stool, pressing stickers onto his bedroom wall, completely at ease. No reason in the world to expect anything.
Fantasmas en mi casa parte 1. No quise reaccionar por si acaso.
Three sharp knocks, a pause, then three more, with no visible source anywhere in the frame, and he freezes mid-motion, turns his head slowly toward the camera, and just listens, not running, not reacting, just going completely still, in the way that people do, when some part of them already knows that making noise right now is the wrong move. He mentioned afterward that he didn't want to show too much, just in case of what being the question that lingers. Because whatever is in that space isn't waiting for dark corners or late hours anymore. It's showing up in the middle of the afternoon under full light, completely unbothered by the time of day or whether anyone is watching. So what do you think? Is this a single intelligent presence growing more comfortable and more bold inside his home? Or is something about this guy specifically drawing activity to him that follows wherever he goes? In this next clip, a security guard was doing his rounds at a guardhouse, a garita as he calls it, when something drove him back inside and kept him there until nearly 3:30 in the morning, too afraid to step back out. He'd been making his usual checks on the property when the first sounds reached him, two high, wailing screams cutting through the darkness from somewhere outside the structure, close enough that he grabbed his phone and locked himself in. Once inside the small room, he began filming the interior, the cluttered floor, the window looking out into nothing, the adjacent storage area with its industrial drums and metal shelving, talking through what was happening in a voice that keeps cracking with fear. Then the banging started. Watch.
Son las 3:30 de la mañana. Salí por el motivo de hacer mi recorrido diario de la noche. Salí a hacer un recorrido y escuché un grito, así que me he resguardado acá adentro de la garita, por motivo de que escuché ruidos bastante de soberbios que está sucediendo en este momento. Así que no sé qué, no sé, señor supervisor, lo que tiene que hacer, porque lo que me pasó hace 24 horas está pasando medio paranormal esto. Así que voy a ir donde están los ruidos en este momento. Se está yendo de las manos esto que está sucediendo. No quiero perder el tema de la noción, pero realmente estoy medio paralizado con lo que viene sucediendo. Realmente directamente estoy cagado de miedo. Así que fue lo mismo de la madrugada, pero sin el tema del grito. Lo dejo a su virtud, los sonidos que está escuchando en este momento. Así que sigue el tema del... Voy a ignorar cada caso que hago porque estoy en mi mundo. Así que Es medio algo paranormal esto. Anoche fue el tema del techo. Bueno, había mucho viento. En este momento está silencioso, calmo. Vamos a ver. Y esto sigue. Así que no quiero salir ni afuera. Mire, me he encerrado. Así que esperaré que pase esto mínimo 1 hora y tendré que salir a hacer mi recorrido de 1 hora y media más, 1 hora más en tema de las máquinas, porque han dejado una bomba afuera y tengo preocupación de...
What you hear in that footage is genuinely difficult to dismiss. It begins with a series of hard, metallic impacts against the exterior of the building, 5 powerful strikes in quick succession, and then escalates into something far worse, a prolonged, violent rattling, as if something is grabbing a large metal gate and shaking it with full force. It stops, then it comes back, and when it returns, at around 2 minutes and 15 seconds in, it's just as intense as the first time, and the man's voice breaks into an exclamation, "Yesto sigue," and this continues. He stays locked inside, mentioning the damaged section of ceiling, referencing something that happened the previous night, and insisting he isn't going outside. Some viewers think the screams at the start sound less like a human voice and more like something else entirely, something harder to categorize. Others believe this is a case of an intelligent presence making itself known rather than just passing through. If you listen closely to how the sounds track him from one area of the building to the next, it starts to feel less random and more deliberate. So, what exactly was circling that guardhouse at 3:30 in the morning? In this next clip, a home security camera mounted on the outside of a residential property captured something that spread online fast. And once you watch it, the reason is obvious. The footage is infrared night vision, looking out over a quiet fenced yard, a concrete walkway leading to a gate, everything completely still in the way that outdoor spaces only get in the dead of night. And then something comes into frame, and what it does next is the part that people keep coming back to. Watch. What enters the frame on 2 legs, upright and moving like a person, suddenly drops and shifts mid-run into something 4-legged entirely, fluid, seamless. The bipedal to quadrupedal shift is the detail that separates this from a standard animal on a security camera clip, and it's the detail that immediately pulled in viewers familiar with shapeshifter mythology from across multiple cultures. In Native American tradition, the skinwalker is described as a being capable of assuming the form of any animal at will, moving between shapes with an ease that makes identification impossible, and sightings almost always involve that exact transitional moment, a figure that is briefly neither one thing nor the other, caught between forms in a way that registers as deeply wrong before the mind can articulate why. In other traditions, a creature seen shifting from human movement to animal gait is associated with a fetch or a doppelganger, something that has borrowed a human shape and hasn't fully committed to wearing it. The stillness at the gate is what unsettles people most in the end, because whatever it was, it didn't run through, it stopped, as if it knew the camera was there, as if arriving at that exact spot was the whole point of the journey. So what do you think? Is this a known animal caught at an unusual angle, doing something that only looks like a transition? Or did that camera capture something moving through that yard that doesn't belong to any category we're comfortable with? The following video was recorded by a woman who has been experiencing a series of unsettling incidents inside her home. And what makes this case compelling is that the activity doesn't stay in one room or one time of day. It moves through the entire space. It started at night while she was watching TV when she noticed something strange outside her second floor window. A white, misty shape drifting slowly from left to right behind the security bars, in a spot where she insists no one could physically be standing. She's on the second floor. There's no ledge, no external platform, nothing that would explain a human presence at that height. She grabbed her phone and began filming in a hushed, nervous tone, describing what she was seeing in real time. Watch.
Veo que se capta en mi ventana y tiene movimiento. Está pasando como si se estuviera asomando alguien y vivimos en el segundo piso. No hay modo de que alguien esté parado en la ventana. Esperen a ver si se vuelve a pasar.
Desde el siglo III, cualquiera podía ser exorcista de Satanás.
Miren, ahora es de día, pero bueno, lo que les decía, ¿verdad? Mi casa es muy oscura, tengo que tener prendidas las luces, pero pues apenas son las 2 de la tarde y como hace mucho calor, se acalura. Ahorita estoy sola, yo llegué. Miren, ya tengo las persianas, pues aún la tengo así toda abierta y solo entra eso de luz. Pero ahorita empecé a grabar porque me paré. Me llama mucho la atención que bajaron la tapadera del baño. Soy yo que bajaron la tapa y pues no hay nadie, estoy sola. Y miren, se acabó de escuchar como si lo hubieran bajado y está arriba la tapa. No sé por qué está arriba si yo siempre la tengo abajo. Así se escuchó. Por eso me paré para venir a ver qué estaba pasando. Me voy a quedar callada a ver si se escucha. Pues ya no se escuchó ahorita. Pero se oyó como estaba alguien en el baño y se oyó hasta la tapadera. Miren. Estaba ahí acostada viendo la televisión y se empezó a escuchar eso.
That slow, self-illuminated shape drifting across the lower panes of the window is difficult to rationalize away. Too steady to be headlights, too low and slow to be a reflection moving across glass. Some viewers think it could be residual energy, a presence drawn to the glass as a kind of threshold between inside and outside, while others point to the folklore surrounding luminous apparitions and window watchers, entities said to linger just beyond the boundary of a home, as if observing without being able to enter. But here's the thing, the nighttime footage is only half of it. When she returned during the day, alone in the apartment at around 2 in the afternoon, she heard it, the distinct, loud bang of the toilet lid slamming shut in the bathroom. No one else was home. She walked down the hallway, opened the bathroom door, and found the lid fully up, physically contradicting the sound she'd just heard. Take a look.
Fíjense que después del en vivo, pues regresé al otro día y me traje a uno de mis perros. Yo ellos no los tengo aquí casi porque luego se ponen mal. Y aún no dejan dormir nada porque ven cosas y pues ya han visto videos anteriores cómo se ponen. Pero miren cómo pegaba su nariz. empezó a oír ruidos, pero justo en esa pared nos empezaron a tocar. Eran las 3:05 de la mañana. Pero miren cómo olfateaba. Él como que quería ver o sea, sentir o pasar esa pared. Pero justo fue donde estaban golpeando. Se me hizo súper raro porque eran las 3:05 de la mañana. Y fue a eso cuando él escuchó los ruidos. Y ya aquí fue cuando yo le dije, vente Mufasa, ya vente. Y pues ya hice que se viniera porque me daba nervio.
Then her dog Mufasa gets brought to the location on a separate visit, and at 3:05 in the morning, he locks onto a blank wall, pressing his entire face against the surface, nose first, completely still for over 30 seconds, as if something on the other side had his full attention. She says the knocking was coming from that exact wall. Dogs are often considered sensitive to presences that humans can't perceive, and in many paranormal traditions, animal behavior is treated as one of the more reliable indicators that something is there, precisely because the animal has no reason to perform. Between the shape at the window, the sound with no source, and a dog pressing himself against a wall at 3 in the morning, there's a pattern here that's harder to dismiss than any single clip on its own. What exactly is moving through that apartment? The clip you're about to watch captures a homeowner's descent into a living nightmare. What began as a peaceful evening at home quickly dissolved as he realized he wasn't nearly as alone as he thought. You can feel the tension the moment the video starts. He's standing in his living room, recording, because he started hearing these heavy, deliberate knocks echoing from his front door. Hoping it was just a late delivery or a confused neighbor, he grabs his camera and approaches the entryway to investigate. As he gets closer, the knocking actually gets faster and more insistent, almost as if whatever is out there knows he's approaching. He finally pulls the door open, fully expecting to confront someone on his porch, but he's met with absolutely nothing but the dead silence of the night. There is no one there, and nowhere for a prankster to hide that quickly.
So I thought Fawn and David were back. I just got out of the shower and I heard, well, it sounded like the door opening and closing, but oh my god, nobody's fucking here. And my cat is just staring at the fucking door. I know, messy room, I know. It's my sister's room. Which creeps me out for some reason. See, look at her. Stare over there at the fucking door. Fuck. Jinxies, you're my witness. You heard whatever's at the door, right? God, if cats could fucking talk. That thing too. Why are these fucking open? Ooh, I got the fucking chills again, dude. I gotta get dressed. I'm out of here, dude. Fuck that. I don't like Fawn's closet. It creeps me out. I'm fucking out of here.
In his caption for this video, the homeowner points out a detail that he didn't even notice until he watched the footage back. Pay close attention to the blinds on the window next to the door. As he walks up to the door, the blinds are clearly pulled shut. But seconds later, when he turns back around after finding the empty porch, the blinds are wide open and he closes them again, completely unaware that they had been closed just moments prior. In paranormal theory, this combination of events is highly indicative of an intelligent haunting. The rapid knocking is often seen as threshold testing, an entity trying to goad the homeowner into opening the door and essentially inviting them in. But the physical manipulation of the blinds is the real red flag here. It shows that the entity isn't just outside trying to get in, it's already inside the house, capable of physical manipulation and actively trying to disorient him. He thought he was looking for a prowler on the porch, but the real threat was standing right behind him. That chilling realization is likely what pushed him to start documenting every inch of his property. Seeking a bit of normalcy, or perhaps just trying to escape the heavy atmosphere of the living room, he retreats to the garage. He set up another camera to keep a watchful eye, but as he sits in a chair with his back to the closed garage door, scrolling on his phone, he is completely unaware of the physical activity starting to unfold directly behind him.
This moving shit. I hope I fucking got that. Still fucking moving. Oh, there ain't no wind. Like this.
In paranormal investigations, a garage is often considered a liminal space, a threshold between the chaotic outside world and the safety of the home. When an entity begins to manipulate heavy objects in a liminal space, it's often a sign that it is gaining strength and attempting to establish dominance over the entire property. The fact that the entity is comfortable moving these items while he is actively sitting in the room suggests that it's no longer just trying to disorient him, it's trying to assert control. He might have thought he was just dealing with a few drafty rooms, but the activity in the garage proves the entity is making itself right at home, and that newly claimed territory quickly begins to expand, shrinking his remaining safe spaces. Later that night, the homeowner is barricaded in his bedroom, but the entity is no longer content with just moving boxes in the distance. He starts filming his closed bedroom door because there is a distinct rhythmic scratching and thumping coming from the hallway right outside. It sounds deliberate, almost like something is pacing and testing the barrier between them. He finally works up the nerve to open it, bracing himself to find an intruder, or maybe hoping to just find one of his pets, but the hallway is completely dead.
Dude. Don't fucking scare me, dog. Fuck. The fuck, man? Fuck off, dog. Did you fucking see that, dude? Why every time I'm fucking alone, dude? Fuck?
He sweeps the entire house, clearing the bathroom, navigating the living room, and stepping into the other rooms, but he finds absolutely nothing. His cat is completely unbothered on the bed, and his dog is just chilling in the living room, proving this wasn't an animal making that noise. In paranormal research, the bedroom is considered the ultimate sanctuary. When a haunting moves from the periphery to actively scratching at the bedroom door, it's a tactic called predatory isolation. The entity is trying to make him feel unsafe in the one place he needs to rest, feeding off the exhaustion and paranoia that comes from realizing a locked door won't stop the intrusion. He's essentially trapped in a psychological siege, and whatever is in that house wants him to know there is nowhere left to hide. The situation reaches a breaking point in the final piece of footage. The homeowner is fully on edge, exhausted, and desperately trying to pinpoint the source of the escalating activity. He hears a disturbance and steps outside into the darkness of his front driveway to investigate. After finding nothing, he quickly retreats back inside, visibly terrified, only to realize the entity used that as a distraction. The camera pans across his bedroom to a full-length mirror hanging on his door, and across the entire width of the glass is a massive, jagged crack. He points his camera at the damage and explicitly states, "It was not like that, dude."
Some noise coming from in there. Oh, hell fucking no. Fuck. Dude. I don't know what the fuck that was. What was that noise? Oh, I'm blind. Ah, crap. Fucking garage door's locked. I don't want to go in there. Shit. Look at my fucking mirror. It was not fucking like that, dude.
Now, here's where we have to ask the big question. What exactly is this entity? In paranormal theory, when a haunting involves both intense physical manifestation, like moving heavy boxes and breaking mirrors, and psychological manipulation, like knocking and opening blinds, we are likely looking at a poltergeist or a highly volatile elemental entity. Unlike traditional human spirits, which are often residual and passive, poltergeists are fueled by raw, chaotic energy. They don't just haunt a space. They feed off the fear and anxiety of the people living there, escalating their physical attacks to generate even more of the terrified energy they need to manifest. But if you thought the broken mirror was the climax of this haunting, the final piece of footage proves the entity is no longer restricted to the shadows or the dead of night. The homeowner has set up a static camera in his well-lit dining room. He's just going about his day, doing the dishes in the kitchen while music plays in the background. But as he steps out of the frame, for just a moment, a heavy wooden chair at the dining table suddenly slides backward across the floor, scraping loudly as if an invisible guest is pulling it out to take a seat. He immediately steps back into the room, staring at the chair in disbelief, and asks the only question left. Did this fucking chair just move? In paranormal investigations, daytime or well-lit activity is extremely rare and signifies an entity that has amassed a dangerous amount of energy. It no longer needs the cover of darkness to manifest. The act of pulling out a chair is intimately domestic. It's an intelligent, almost mocking gesture. The entity is telling him that it lives there too. It sits at his table, and it is entirely unafraid of him. At this point, the house doesn't belong to him anymore. So what do you think? Is this an aggressive poltergeist asserting dominance over the property, or is there a much darker, demonic attachment at play? This next clip comes from a creator named Corey, who learned the hard way that being home alone doesn't always mean the house is empty. It starts when his partner takes the dog out for a walk, leaving him completely by himself. That's when he begins hearing inexplicable noises echoing up from the basement, a bizarre repeated thud, followed by laughter and a blood-curdling, shrieking scream. Determined to prove he isn't losing his mind, he decides to run a simple experiment, marking the basement doors with pillows to see if anything physical is moving down there. The next day, the video he records confirms the impossible. The pillow has been pushed completely aside. He immediately sets up 2 security cameras to monitor the house, but the entity doesn't seem to care. His dog begins acting incredibly strange, pacing the hallway, whimpering, and just staring endlessly into an empty room. But the real terror happens when one of the cameras suddenly glitches and goes completely blank.
My partner stepped out with the dog for one last walk at that night, and I was the only one left in the house at this point. I grabbed my phone as quick as I could and actually captured the noises. There was a couple different noises that were heard. It played that noise twice, and then laughter style, which you'll hear later, and then it also played like a very loud shrieking noise of a girl screaming. So I don't know, it came from the basement. It was just mind-numbingly loud. So I did what any composed man would do. I grabbed a knife and gave it a good 5 minutes and went down and looked around. So at this point I noticed everything was normal, and there's a couple of rooms down there I didn't really care to look in, so I just marked the doors with pillows so I could go back and see if anything had moved the next day from my video I was taking. And at this point in time we determined just to get out of the house, take the dog with us, and
come on, Jesse, up.
Get out of there because there's just too many unexplained things.
Come on, up. Let's go. Come on, up.
Go. She had to come back the next day first thing, so I said, as soon as you get there, check for the ball at the door and then take pictures of the pillows downstairs. And this is what she sent me. Well, this is the original. This is what she sent me. Normal. Video. Next day. So at this point I realized, okay, someone's in the house. Get the hell out of there. And I went over there and put 2 cameras in there, one in the bonus room and one on the main floor, which captured everything. It was the weirdest thing. The dog just went up and down all day and just stared into a room and just whimpering back and forth. We're not gonna pretend like the decor up there is normal by any means. And then the camera did the weirdest thing. It just went blank. So she went back to check that night, and finally we captured the laughter on the cameras. Her motion had set it off and saved the clips, and to this very day we cannot explain what happened that day. Everything's been disconnected electronically in the house.
Now, here's where it gets deeply unsettling. While the screen is black, the camera's audio picks up a bizarre, wailing groan, immediately followed by a distinctly childlike voice calling out Mom. If you dive into the comments on his original post, sharp-eared viewers even point out a terrifying, hidden whisper earlier in the footage directly asking, "Do you see me?" In paranormal theory, this specific type of vocal manipulation is the signature of a mimic. A mimic is an entity that replicates familiar, harmless, or vulnerable sounds, like a woman screaming or a child calling for its mother, specifically to lure its victims into isolated areas like a basement. The fact that his dog was terrified and the cameras malfunctioned right before the voice was captured suggests a massive spike in electromagnetic energy. The entity wasn't just trying to make some noise, it was actively trying to bait him back downstairs into the dark. The following clip you're about to watch comes from a creator named Reese Royales, whose family rented a cabin for a getaway, only to find out it was heavily haunted. Reese actually noticed the activity first when a kitchen cabinet opened completely on its own. Understandably freaked out, he went to tell the rest of the family, and they all rushed downstairs to see it for themselves. You can feel the nervous tension in the room as they crowd into the dimly lit kitchen, cameras rolling, waiting to see if the anomaly will repeat itself.
Which one is open?
Okay, everything. Oh, let me say.
Right here? Right here.
No. Right now.
See how hard to open that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can it push by itself? Go.
Right.
Right, I see that.
Right. Get out of the way. Sinong gumagawa nito? Open it right now.
Asan kayo? Dito kayo?
Nangyayari, dude.
Marami tayo na eh.
Kanina may nag-open.
Is it loose? No. Open! Wala kang ilaw dyan? Bakit pa?
No, stop.
No, I saw that.
No. It was fucking shaking.
Can we go? What?
Open it.
Oh my God.
Go.
And as you can see from their terrified reactions, it definitely happens again. The cabinet violently swings open, sending the entire family screaming and scrambling out of the room. So, what exactly might be at play here? In paranormal theory, an entity capable of physically moving heavy objects right in front of a large, active group of people is displaying a massive amount of kinetic energy, often the hallmark of a poltergeist. Poltergeists act like energetic sponges, feeding off high emotion environments. The combined fear, anticipation, and chaotic energy of the whole family rushing downstairs likely gave the entity the exact charge it needed to manifest so aggressively. Now, while the family's panic feels incredibly authentic, several skeptical viewers in the comments were quick to point out the logistics of the room, with one simply asking, "Who was under the cabinet, haha?" Given the camera angle and the dark island counter obscuring the lower half of the frame, it's entirely possible someone was tucked out of sight to push the door open for a viral prank. But whether it's a masterful family setup or a highly charged poltergeist asserting its presence, the sheer panic captured on tape is undeniably effective. What do you think? Was that the work of a poltergeist or just a clever trick? I'll leave you to be the judge. This next clip starts off wholesome enough. A father is just hanging out in a bedroom, filming his young daughter as they play a simple game of catch. The focus is entirely on her having fun, but if you look past the bed to the window in the background, you'll catch a detail that completely ruins the vibe. If you watch the center of the blinds, right behind the little girl, a few of the slats clearly pull apart and dip down. It looks exactly as if someone is standing on the other side, pulling the blinds apart to peek inside the room before suddenly letting them snap back into place. He didn't even notice it until he watched the clip back.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. That one hurt. Okay, you want me to make buckets now?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna catch it.
Oh, you want to catch it and then put it?
Okay.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. Yay! Yeah! You want the small one?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, oh.
This is too small.
Sorry. It's too small.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. No, almost. I mean, you hit SpongeBob though. Yay! Last one. 3, 1.
No, you should say 3.
Huh? 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
You should say 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1, go. In the basket. In the basket.
Go again.
Okay.
When he posted the footage, he explained in his caption that the window was completely shut and he didn't see any physical fingers poking through to manipulate the blinds. Understandably freaked out, he asked his viewers if it could be a ghost. He even mentioned that the grandmother came in to bless the room shortly after they noticed the anomaly, but he admitted he's still feeling pretty uneasy about the whole situation. In paranormal theory, this kind of subtle, voyeuristic activity is incredibly unsettling. Entities will often start their manifestations by simply observing, figuring out the dynamics of the household before making a larger move. The fact that it's focusing its attention right behind a child makes the whole thing feel undeniably predatory. In the second part of this saga, the dad realizes just how crazy the situation actually is. He goes back into the room to investigate and films the setup to prove to everyone that absolutely nobody else was inside with them. He shows the empty room, pointing out exactly where his daughter was sitting on the bed. But then he takes things a step further to debunk any skeptics who might think a prankster was just standing right outside the window.
This right here is the room where it actually happened. Hey. So I was just sitting here with my daughter. Well, she was actually on the bed playing with her toy that she always plays with. All of a sudden, I didn't understand what was going on, because the only way you can move the blinds is if you're inside the room. There's no possible way that someone can move the blinds from the outside of the room. There's no possible way somebody can just come up here and move the blinds from the inside.
He takes his camera outside to film the exterior of the house, and that's when you realize the bedroom window is actually on the second floor. The only way someone is opening those blinds from the outside is if they are over 9 feet tall. It's physically impossible for a normal person to reach that window from the ground, and we already know there was no one else hiding inside the room to do it from the inside. This completely rules out a simple neighborhood prank and firmly pushes this into paranormal territory. But if you think a creepy, peeping ghost is bad, just wait. The next day, he went back to review security footage to see if his cameras caught the detail his own eyes missed in the moment.
Okay, so I might just be rambling, but I just want to bring up security footage, POV from when it happened. I'm just gonna zoom in and you just tell me what you see.
It's too small. Oh, you got it.
There are no fucking fingers. There are no fingers in the middle of this. Nobody's moving the blinds.
No. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. That one hurt. Okay, you want me to make buckets now?
The only way someone will be able to open that window is from the left to the right side.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. Yay! Yeah! You want the small one?
Even when outside of the house, the only fucking way is from the left to the right. There was no opening in the middle, even on the outside or the inside.
Yeah!
You would need to step on the stepping stone to get on that.
Yeah! You want the
So
small one?
I don't know.
Sorry, it's too small. Oh, you got it. No, almost. I mean,
As you can see, the activity doesn't just happen once. The blinds are manipulated twice in a way that feels incredibly rhythmic and deliberate. He even zooms in to show a detail that is frankly a huge red flag. There are absolutely no fingers visible. In a normal prank, you'd see the tips of a hand or at least a shadow blocking the light, but here the slats just separate. Now, here is the logic pivot that really pushes this into paranormal territory. He points out that not only is the bedroom on the second floor, meaning a prankster would need a massive ladder just to reach the glass, but these specific blinds don't even open from the middle. They are a solid unit. For those slats to dip down like that, something has to be applying physical pressure directly to the center of the plastic, a feat that would be impossible for a simple breeze or a shifting foundation. If you thought the voyeuristic behavior with the blinds was unsettling, this next clip proves that the entity is quickly moving out of the observation phase and into something much more aggressive. Same room, same heavy atmosphere, but this time the interaction is a lot more direct. As the homeowner films the bedroom door, it starts to drift open with a slow, agonizing creak that feels entirely too deliberate to be a draft. Just as the door reaches its peak, the lights abruptly cut out, and in the sudden darkness, the door is slammed shut with enough force to make you jump. Of course, skeptics might try to point toward a simple cross breeze or a faulty light switch, but for both events to happen simultaneously is a major red flag. A draft doesn't typically trip a circuit breaker, and an electrical surge doesn't physically pull a door shut. In paranormal research, this is often categorized as a localized energy drain. Entities frequently draw power from electrical systems to fuel physical manifestations. By killing the lights, it's essentially using that surge as a battery to slam the door, making a clear statement that it can control the boundaries of the room. It's moving from being a watcher to a jailer, effectively barricading the homeowner inside his own sanctuary. In this final piece of evidence, we see the real-world consequences of these disturbances on the family. While it's one thing to capture a door slamming or a blind dipping on camera, it's a whole new level of unsettling when a child begins to sense the shift in the house's energy. The dad captured this moment when his young daughter became visibly distressed, repeatedly saying, "Dad, this is so scary." She's clearly hesitant to even step foot in the room where the activity has been most concentrated, essentially treating the doorway like a physical barrier.
So scary. This is so scary. I think it's so scary.
Children are often considered intuitive barometers for a haunting. They are incredibly receptive to shifts in the atmosphere and can often sense an entity's presence long before it manifests physically for an adult. Her refusal to enter the room suggests that the entity has successfully established a territorial hold over the space, making it feel unwelcoming or even predatory to the most vulnerable member of the household. Is this just a child feeding off the nervous energy of her father, or has the room itself become a site of active, intelligent aggression that even she can feel? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. This next clip takes us to an abandoned school in Iraq, where a group of friends decided to do a little urban exploring. They're wandering through the gutted, desolate hallways, documenting the decay, and at the time, they didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. In fact, they didn't even realize they had captured anything strange until they watched the footage back.
مخممة كانت موجودة. تعال وين رايح؟
والله بس تليفون شيء والله في شاحن فل الحمد لله على الباب لا يبقى مش حنبطل تليفون انطفى
As the cameraman steps into a large, empty classroom and pans to the right, a dark figure suddenly sprints across the background. It doesn't just drift like a typical apparition, it moves with a heavy, deliberate stride. But when the footage is slowed down, you catch the detail that completely ruins the vibe. The figure appears to be entirely headless. Skeptics will immediately point to motion blur or a digital artifact, arguing that a friend simply ran past the lens too fast for the cheap camera sensor to process their upper half. But the group was adamant that all of them were accounted for, and absolutely no one was playing a prank in that room. Beyond that, if you watch the entity's movement, it doesn't run like a teenager messing around. It has a stiff, almost unnatural gait that doesn't match the chaotic running of the explorers. In paranormal theory, large abandoned institutions like this often act as residual sinks, trapping the intense or traumatic energy of the past and replaying it on a loop. Is this just a perfect storm of a cheap camera glitch and a fast-moving shadow, or did they accidentally document a physical remnant of the school's darker history? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. This next clip takes us into the home of a creator who has been documenting a slow descent into paranormal activity. She's been noticing strange disturbances for weeks, unexplained noises and things shifting, but it all reached a breaking point with this child's doll. In the footage, you can see the doll thrashing around on the floor with an almost violent level of energy, vibrating with a force that feels completely out of place for a nursery. It's easy to see this and say it is just a mechanical toy that was left on, but the owner anticipates that move. She picks up the doll and unzips the back to reveal the internal compartment, and as you can see, it is completely empty. There are no batteries, no wires, and zero logical power sources to explain that level of physical movement. In paranormal theory, objects like dolls are often referred to as vessels because they provide a physical structure that is relatively easy for an entity to manipulate, especially when they want to elicit a high emotional response from the family. This isn't just a glitchy toy, it's an entity using the mechanical frame as a conduit to manifest its presence in the room. So what do you think? Is this just a freak mechanical occurrence? Or has something in that house finally found a way to move on its own? In the following clip you're about to watch, we get a chilling look at why healthcare workers often joke about avoiding certain shifts. This footage was captured by Camila Torres, a nurse working at a nursing home, back in 2019 when a resident asked her to record a cleansing of what the staff called the death room. This specific room was notorious. Patients placed there would have sudden medical episodes or pass away, and the heavy cold energy was so intense that the facility eventually stopped placing patients inside it altogether. As the resident performs her prayer and wafts her hands outside the doorway, pay close attention to the rosary hanging on her hand.
Heavenly Father, I ask for your divine presence to fill this space. May your light shine brightly through every room, cleansing this home of any negativity, fear, or unrest. Let peace dwell in every corner, and love be the foundation of every wall. Bless this home with your protection, surrounding it with your angels, and shielding it from harm and evil. May every door be a passage to your grace, and every window open to your blessings. In Jesus' name.
Skeptics might write this off as a simple draft from a nearby vent. But a heavy beaded rosary doesn't just flutter like a piece of paper, it physically jumps as if tugged by an invisible hand. In paranormal theory, religious artifacts are often focal points for spiritual energy, and an entity occupying a space associated with so much trauma would naturally react aggressively to a cleansing. When a room accumulates so much transition and grief, it can easily become a magnet for something far more active that doesn't want to be evicted. But what do you think happened here? I'll leave you to be the judge. This next clip captures what should have been a warm, wholesome family gathering. A father is sitting on the couch playing the guitar while his family happily sings along. It's a beautiful, intimate moment, but if you look carefully at the open window just behind his shoulder, you'll catch a detail that completely ruins the cozy vibe. In the upper portion of the dark window frame, a pale, face-like shape appears to peek into the room, silently observing the performance before vanishing back into the pitch-black night.
Cuando me miraba esos tus ojos, cuando me miraba esos tus ojos, yo pues pensaba que me querías, yo pues pensaba que me amabas. Vino desde Perú acá, Chile, ¿no? Casi la playa nada más. Esos dos ojos tienen la culpa, esos dos ojos tienen la culpa de haberme mirado sin conocernos bien, de haberme mirado sin conocernos bien. Cuando me besaban esos tus labios, cuando me besaron esos tus labios, yo pues pensaba que tú me amabas, yo pues pensaba.
The chilling footage has left many convinced of its supernatural origin, with the creator herself agreeing, stating, "Si es un fantasma," which translates to, yes, it is a ghost. So, what exactly are we looking at, and why is it lurking there? In paranormal theory, spirits are often drawn to high vibration, positive human energy like music, laughter, and family bonding. Rather than a malicious presence, this could be an earthbound spirit, perhaps a deceased relative or a former occupant of the home attracted to the warmth of the song. It appears to be acting as a silent spectator, temporarily drawing enough kinetic energy from the group's collective joy to make its fleeting, pale form visible in the darkness, simply wanting to feel a connection to the living world once again. So, what do you think? Was this a loving ancestor pausing to enjoy a family melody, or is something more sinister watching from the shadows of the backyard? In this next clip, we follow the story of a mother named Sam, who for a long time had a persistent, unsettling feeling that she was being watched in her own home. She could never quite put her finger on what was causing the dread, until she accidentally recorded her twin boys playing and watched the footage back. While filming her toddlers running into a bedroom, a distinct, disembodied woman's voice can be heard over the audio, whispering a chilling, "Shh, quiet."
¿Qué pasó? ¿Quién está en el cuarto?
Sam confirmed she was completely alone in the house with only her young children at the time, leaving no logical explanation for who could have whispered the warning. In paranormal research, this is a classic example of an electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP. Entities often draw upon the high vibration, chaotic kinetic energy of playing children to manipulate the airwaves and make themselves heard. But why tell the boys to be quiet? Some investigators suggest that domestic spirits can become highly territorial, occasionally falling back into old disciplinary habits, as if they still run the household. Others fear a more deceptive entity, trying to hush the kids to avoid being fully discovered by the mother. Was this the voice of a lingering, spectral guardian watching over the boys? Or is there a silent tenant in this home trying to keep its presence a secret? I'll let you be the judge. 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . . In this next clip, we witness what happens when a haunting refuses to remain isolated to just one member of a household. This footage was uploaded by a terrified husband, but the camera is actually being held by his wife. Just a few days prior, he had a terrifying run-in with what he calls a knocking ghost while he was home alone. And then 3 later, the exact same phenomenon returned, proving that whatever is inhabiting their property has no intention of leaving. The activity actually began before she even had a chance to grab her phone, which is why the family dogs are already shown incredibly on edge, growling and pacing anxiously near the door. Realizing that the entity had returned, she quickly started recording to capture undeniable proof.
Okay, it just happened again and the dogs are freaked out. Get it. Davey, come over here. Get it. You be right there. Something opens that fucking door, you need to get him. Oh my god, I don't know if it's gonna happen again. It just fucking happened again. Move, 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 move! There's fucking nobody there! The dog stopped fucking barking now. Davey's freaking the fuck out by the door though. What is it? There's nobody out there. I'm not opening the fucking door anymore.
As you can hear, she barely has time to set the scene before a series of violent, heavy knocks rattle the door leading outside, sending the dogs into a barking frenzy. The sheer force of the bangs suggests a physical presence right on the other side of the glass, yet the porch is completely empty. Whatever was demanding to be let in was entirely unseen, but its ability to physically rattle the frame of the house is undeniable. It didn't end there. On a separate day, the husband captured another occurrence, proving that the disturbance wasn't just a fleeting one-time anomaly. The knocking has become a relentless daily ordeal for the couple, slowly wearing down their peace of mind in their own home. It seems to happen at any hour, completely unprovoked, turning their sanctuary into a psychological pressure cooker.
Hear it? Wow. Happens all the time.
As the heavy rhythmic knocks rattle the door once again, the husband immediately steps up to investigate, determined to find a logical explanation. He walks straight to the glass pane, slides the lock, and throws the door open to catch the culprit in the act. But just like before, the back porch is completely empty. There are no neighborhood pranksters sprinting away, and no physical explanation for the loud pounding that occurred just a second prior. The absolute dead stillness of the yard only makes the noise more unsettling, proving that whatever is demanding to be let in doesn't need a physical body to make its presence felt. It is a bold, broad daylight manifestation that shows this entity is actively testing its boundaries, mocking their attempts to secure the home. But the true source of this terror may lie just beyond the porch, hidden in the thick tree line bordering the the property. Desperate for answers, the husband decided to film the pitch black woods behind their house, sensing that something was watching them from the dark. If you look carefully into the shadows near the fence line, you'll see a tall, dark, human-like figure silently lurking among the trees, shifting slightly in the darkness. This unsettling discovery ties all of the family's terrifying experiences together. What if the violent knocking on the door wasn't an isolated trick, but a deliberate attempt by this forest-dwelling entity to gain entry into their home? In paranormal lore, entities that inhabit the woods, often referred to as elementals or territorial nature spirits, can become highly aggressive when humans encroach on their space. This shadow figure might be attempting to establish dominance, using the rhythmic knocking as a form of psychological warfare to break down the couple's sense of security. By wearing down their defenses, it feeds on the resulting fear and anxiety, gaining the energy it needs to manifest even closer to the house. So, what do you think? Is this a malevolent entity trying to claim the home for itself? Or is it a silent sentinel of the woods, warning the family that they are no longer welcome? In this next clip, we travel to the dense, ancient forests of the Appalachian Mountains, a region as famous for its rich natural beauty as it is for its deeply unsettling folklore. The homeowner, a local herbalist who frequently harvests plants and works closely with the surrounding wilderness, began noticing a strange, heavy shift in the atmosphere of her property. Her suspicions were confirmed during the day when her outdoor security camera captured a bizarre, high-speed anomaly in her backyard. If you look carefully at the area right next to the parked camper trailer, a small, pale streak of light shoots across the screen at an impossible velocity. While skeptics might try to write this off as a simple insect flying close to the lens, the trajectory, sudden acceleration, and sheer speed completely rule out a bug or a bird. It behaves like a highly concentrated orb of kinetic energy, darting with deliberate purpose. In paranormal lore, these fast-moving light anomalies are often thought to be scouts, elemental energies, or spiritual manifestations testing the boundaries of human habitats. For an herbalist who regularly interacts with the natural energy of the land, it's highly possible that her work has unwittingly drawn the curiosity of something ancient living deep within the mountain hollows. Determined to find out what was sharing their land, the couple began closely monitoring their backyard security feeds at night. It didn't take long for their vigilance to pay off, but the answer they got was far more terrifying than they ever bargained for. While watching the live feed, they spotted a chilling shape slowly moving through the pitch black tree line. At first, her husband wonders if it's just a local coyote, but as the entity steps further into the illuminated clearing, the sheer horror of the situation sets in.
Okay, so alarms are going off and the rooster's going nuts. We caught some coyotes in the backyard. What is that?
It's probably that coyote.
Right there. What the heck?
Is that that coyote?
No.
That's not a coyote. That's a fucking person.
Where's the dog? Well, you better go now.
fuck, man? What the fuck is that?
I don't know. The rooster's not too happy. Where's the dog? There's the dog. Why is she in her freaking pen? What the? Oh my god. Okay, so it came back. What the hell?
There's Lucy right there.
Yeah, but you see where it's standing?
Yeah, it's looking in the window at you.
It's at our window. What?
It's a good way to get shot in the face.
And the dog's just staring.
So why is the damn dog not barking?
Oh my god.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What? Alright, do.
Walking upright between the trees is an incredibly tall, pale, and spindly humanoid figure. The proportions are completely off for a normal human, exhibiting elongated limbs and a haunting, gaunt frame that moves with an eerie, calculated grace. The tension peaks when the couple realizes their dog is completely silent and missing from the frame, prompting a frantic realization that they are in immediate danger. What exactly is this creature, and why is it lurking in their yard? In Appalachian cryptid lore, sightings of these pale crawlers or forest-dwelling entities are shockingly common. These beings are believed to be ancient, reclusive dwellers of the deep woods and cave systems, highly sensitive to human presence. It's highly likely this entity was drawn to the property by the herbalist's active engagement with the surrounding forest, viewing her as an intruder in its territory, or perhaps as a source of curiosity. So, was this an ancient resident of the mountains, merely observing the homeowners, or is this pale figure hunting for a way inside? I'll leave you to be the judge. In this next clip, a mother's desperate plea for help online reveals a deeply unsettling situation unfolding inside her home. According to her, the paranormal activity started subtly. Her 10-month-old daughter began interacting with things that simply weren't there, allegedly looking up at the doorways and saying hi to invisible figures. Soon after, electronic toys in the house began turning on and going off completely by themselves. But the activity quickly took a dark turn when the toddler began suffering from severe night terrors, waking up at 2 a.m. screaming, "Get away from me!" The mother couldn't figure out what was going on until one afternoon, while she was sitting in her room feeding her baby, a heavy bowl violently flew off a nearby shelf. She immediately checked her indoor security camera to see exactly what had happened. Take a look.
So here's my dog Callie on the couch. Here's Titan on the couch. Sorry if it's a little bit off. Pixelation right here. Then there's pixelation right here, hovering above the baby crib. And then it'll come over and there's pixelation and you could see the actual figure standing here and a hand shove off this bowl. Then as the bowl falls back over here in the baby crib, this demon baby
When she initially shared this story and the footage, many viewers were extremely skeptical. People in the comments were quick to dismiss the activity, claiming the electronic toys were just malfunctioning due to stray radio waves, and that the bowl falling was likely caused by heavy-footed neighbors upstairs shaking the walls. Frustrated by the disbelief and terrified for her child's safety, she decided to share a second, much more detailed piece of footage. She wanted to prove to the skeptics that what was happening in her home was not a mechanical glitch, and it certainly wasn't the neighbors. Watch closely.
Some of you are saying that you cannot see what I'm talking about. It took me a good minute when my sister showed me, but once I seen it, I couldn't unsee it. So just to kind of make it easier for you, because I know you can't really zoom in on TikTok, I will repost a shortened version for you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about in both spots.
There is a lot to unpack here. When you look at the sheer force required to throw an object off a shelf like that and pair it with a toddler screaming at unseen figures in the middle of the night, it becomes much harder to blame radio frequencies or thin walls. In the paranormal field, poltergeist activity is notoriously known to center around young children, often draining their raw, developing energy to manifest physical disturbances. However, a child explicitly yelling for an unseen entity to get away suggests something far more intelligent and highly intrusive is lurking in that room. If you look closely at the footage she captured, the way the objects are manipulated seems incredibly deliberate. Are the toys and falling objects just a series of bizarre, explainable coincidences perfectly captured on camera? Or is a dark, unseen presence attaching itself to this young family? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. This next clip captures a home environment where the boundary between the physical and the unseen appears to have completely dissolved. A resident, already on edge from previous disturbances, decided to document his living room after the atmosphere became noticeably heavy. While electrical flickers are often dismissed as faulty wiring, what occurs in this footage suggests a level of mechanical manipulation that is far more difficult to explain away. The setting is a standard entryway, but the activity is anything but routine. Take a look.
Try to see if that thing was shot.
Oh
my god.
No, baby, I'm not going over there. This is too much.
How the
for me
fuck
right
is that
now.
motherfucker turning on? There's a light switch really flickering.
These things are really fucking with us like this right now.
Baby, come on, hold on, wait a minute, wait a minute.
I'm trying not to show my fear, but this is really fucking freaking
Wait a minute,
me
baby.
out.
How the fuck is that motherfucker like fucking? Wait a minute. Oh shit!
Oh,
Jesus
fuck
fucking
no.
Christ! What was
Baby.
that, baby? What was that? Hold on, baby. Hold on. Wait a minute. Is that the fucking? Baby, is that the umbrella? You, baby. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How the fuck is the umbrella?
I'm not scared. I'm not gonna fucking act scared of these fucking things. I'm so
Baby.
tired of this.
The umbrella goes over there.
Yeah, it was over there.
Hold on. Let me check. Hold on. Stay here. Hold on. Stay here. Stay here. The umbrella goes right here, don't it? What the fuck?
Baby, I'm so done with this.
What the fuck was that? What was?
Oh, fuck.
Baby, come on. Hey, wait a minute.
No,
Wait a
this
minute.
is just getting
Wait a minute.
ridiculous.
Wait a minute. Wait a
Fucking
minute.
leave us alone.
Hey, hey, who goes out there? What the fuck? Baby, come on. No. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How the fuck is that motherfucker trying? Whoa, shit. Hold on. Wait a minute. Baby, hold on.
Go away.
Wait a minute. Here, come here. Shut that light off real quick. Shut that light off.
Fucking go away.
Shut that light off. Oh my
Fucking
god.
leave us alone.
Hold on, baby. How the fuck is that motherfucker turning on? Like there's no fucking way.
Leave us alone.
That motherfucker's just literally turning on
so
like
fucked
that.
up, baby. I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
That motherfucker, baby. How?
I gotta
Why
leave
in
the
the
house.
right state of mind
This
do
is
you
so
have energy
fucking
to shut
ridiculous, dude.
lights off? You know, and fucking come on, baby. We gotta go to the room. Hold on,
Come on. I'm going to the bed. I can't do this no more. This is fucking so fucked up.
baby. Hold on. You gotta hold me tight,
You gotta get.
baby.
You gotta get this shit out of here, baby.
We gotta try to. Baby, I don't fucking know how the fuck to do this. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Baby, it don't feel right in here. I feel
How the
like
fuck is that
there's
light turning
there's
on
some,
like that?
weird shit in here right now. It's so fucking
Hey,
cold in here too.
whoever's in
Fuck,
here,
dude.
whoever's in here, stop the switching.
Go away!
Stop the switching.
Get out of our fucking house!
Stop.
Baby, I'm going in the bedroom.
Stop.
I gotta go to the bedroom.
Wait a minute.
What makes this footage particularly peculiar is the light switch itself. If you look closely, you can see the physical toggle snapping up and down as if moved by an invisible finger. This isn't just a bulb failing, it's a manual interaction with the home's infrastructure. The escalation continues moments later when the man notices an umbrella lying in the middle of the floor. In paranormal research, this combination of electrical interference and the displacement of heavy objects is often indicative of a high-energy poltergeist. These manifestations are known to target specific areas of a home using localized energy to exert physical force on the environment. The resident's verbal reaction grounds the fear. He isn't just witnessing a glitch, he's watching his home be manipulated in real time. Is this a case of extreme electrical surges affecting mechanical switches, or is there an entity in the house making its presence undeniably known? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In this next clip, we're following a guy named Jorge who was just trying to have a chill night at home. They say you shouldn't watch horror movies alone, mostly because your brain starts playing tricks on you, but for Jorge, the real scare wasn't on the screen. It was happening right behind his desk. While he was deep into a video, he noticed his bedroom curtains starting to sway. We're not talking about a gentle nudge from a breeze. They were moving with a heavy, deliberate motion. Jorge was quick to point out that every fan in the room was killed, and the windows were sealed tight. There was zero airflow, yet the fabric was acting like it was being pulled by an invisible hand. Hoping to catch a prankster, or maybe just find a logical explanation that would let him sleep, he finally worked up the nerve to look down at the street below.
So I'm just chilling in my room. The fans are on. When I was just watching this scary ass video, shadow figure just standing outside, like on the street, and just moved. I have no idea where my curtains are moving. Like, see, none of them were moving.
It's like right there. That's a street lamp, but what is that underneath it? Cause that wasn't there 10 minutes ago, so I have no idea right now.
Standing directly under the pool of a flickering street lamp was a dark, stationary silhouette. It wasn't a neighbor out for a walk or a random passerby. This figure was perfectly still, seemingly staring up at his window with an eerie, unblinking intensity. Jorge noted that the street was completely empty just 10 minutes prior, making this figure's sudden appearance feel very intentional. In paranormal circles, this is often labeled as a watcher. These entities are frequently reported in conjunction with physical disturbances, like those moving curtains, suggesting they're capable of interacting with the environment from a distance. Whether this was a literal prowler or something much more spectral, the absolute stillness of that figure is enough to make anyone double-check their locks. This next clip starts off innocently enough, tapping into a childhood classic that quickly descends into a paranormal nightmare. A father is playing a seemingly harmless game of hide and seek with his young daughter, Ariana. But right from the start, there's a red flag. She tells him she isn't playing alone. She's hiding with her imaginary friend, Mabel. The father brushes it off, agreeing to be the seeker. He begins his count to 10, but before he can even finish, the lights in the house abruptly shut off. Armed only with a flashlight, he begins his search, navigating through the dark, silent house. As he reaches the top of a staircase, the silence is broken by a heavy thud, and a red ball inexplicably bounces down the steps toward him.
Ariana, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm playing hide and seek.
With who?
My friend Mabel.
Oh, okay. Would you want to play hide and seek with me?
Sure.
Okay, now you can play with the real person, so I'm going to actually look for you, and I'm going to do all the counting, okay?
Alright.
Okay, and you're going to be the one hiding.
Alright.
Okay, ready? I'm gonna count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? Turn off the lights, cheating. There we go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here I go. Better be in a good spot. Where are you? Ariana, could you be in the closet? Gotcha. Ariana. 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 Ariana? Ah, I see you behind the dresser. Rihanna?
You found me!
Oh, what?
Did Maple tell you where I was?
What? Let's get out of here. Come here. Where are you? Ah, I see you behind the dresser. Yeah?
You found me!
Oh, what?
Did Maple tell you where I was?
What? Let's get out of here.
In paranormal research, entities often attach themselves to children, appearing as imaginary friends because kids are incredibly receptive and easy to manipulate. The fact that the lights went out simultaneously and the ball moved independently proves Mabel isn't a figment of Ariana's imagination. She's a physical entity with enough energy to manipulate the environment. But it's Ariana's final question that confirms the true horror. The entity wasn't just hiding with her, it was actively communicating with her, blurring the line between a harmless game and a sinister attachment. The father's immediate panicked reaction to grab his daughter and flee the room is the only correct response when you realize your child's playmate isn't from this world. In this next clip, we look at the infamous Clune Park estate in Port Glasgow, a decaying, nearly entirely abandoned complex of 430 flats that locals refer to as Scotland's Chernobyl. The creator is filming the desolate, pitch-black exterior of the tenement blocks at night, a place where no one should be wandering alone. But as the camera pans up the grim facade, it locks onto a single window on an upper floor. Inside, illuminated against the absolute blackness of the gutted room, is a pale, static shape.
Just watch this.
Isn't it? Future in hand.
430 abandoned flats, and there is something in the window.
Open. Yo. You see movement then? Move the light. Yo. Yo. The fuck is that? Yo.
Now, here's where the reality of the location makes the footage even creepier. Locals in the comments of the post didn't call it a hoax, they all pretty much validated the dread. People who have accidentally driven through the estate at night report seeing the exact same thing, unexplainable figures standing at the windows of flats that have been dead for years. In paranormal theory, a location with this much history of economic collapse, despair, and abandonment can become a residual sink, trapping the heavy energy of the past and replaying it like a broken record. Whether it's the spirit of a former shipyard worker, an urban explorer playing a trick, or one of the few remaining residents keeping a silent watch in the dark, you wouldn't catch me walking those streets at night to find out. In this clip you're about to watch, we are stepping onto the grounds of a property that should be a quiet horse farm, but has recently become the center of a series of unexplainable environmental anomalies. This footage comes from a creator known as My Little Equine, whose TikTok feed is normally a peaceful sanctuary for horse lovers. However, she's recently been forced to document a disturbing shift in the atmosphere of her family's compound, a shift that began with the most sensitive residents of the farm. The first red flag comes from the behavior of her dog, Josie. In the world of paranormal research, animals are often considered intuitive barometers because they possess a sensory range that far exceeds our own, especially when it comes to detecting fluctuations in electromagnetic fields. In this first piece of evidence, Josie is captured in a state of high alert that reportedly lasted for hours.
So, I'm recording this just in the off chance that no one believes me. Maybe I can catch it. And by the way, I have a freaking cemetery in my front yard, which probably doesn't help my cause, but I was just inside. I'm by myself with my dog. She's up in that room upstairs. You can literally hear her working from here. Freaked out. Josie? Josie? Yeah, she's just been staring at that, and then she started barking, and she growled, and when she growled, I kind of like booked it. I don't really know, like, that's usually like her stance while she's waiting for me to come home, and I'm just like, is she waiting for someone to walk out of that closet? Like,
As you can see, Josie isn't just barking at a random noise or a passing critter. She is locked onto a specific closet, growling and pacing with a level of intensity that suggests a physical threat is lurking just behind the door. The creator eventually worked up the nerve to check the closet herself, and while that footage isn't shown here, she confirmed that it was completely empty. No intruders, no pests, just a void that her dog refused to ignore. When a dog growls at an empty space for an extended period, it suggests a localized, persistent presence that is actively radiating an energy the animal finds threatening. There's a private family cemetery located right on the grounds that hold her own grandparents. While a private burial ground is a deeply personal and sacred space, in the world of the supernatural, these sites can act as permanent anchors for spiritual energy. She believes the weird things she's been noticing are directly tied to the presence of this cemetery. This leads us into the second, and arguably more bizarre, development on the property. In April 2025, a group of cows from a neighboring area began to show up at the compound every single day, and their behavior was anything but routine.
See, this is what I'm talking about. They literally just come and hang out here all the time now. It's a newer development. Like, why? They just kind of come and literally graze around this area. they just kind of will freeze and won't move. So, yeah. What's up?
Instead of grazing or wandering as cattle usually do, these cows gather in a tight, deliberate formation directly around the cemetery. They don't just stand there, they freeze, remaining perfectly still for long periods while emitting strange, low-frequency noises that the creator describes as unlike anything she's heard from cattle before. In the comments, many viewers have dubbed this summoning behavior. From a grounded perspective, you could argue that the cows are simply attracted to a specific type of grass or a mineral deposit near the fresh dirt of the graves. However, the logic pivot here is the ritualistic nature of the gathering. Herd animals typically only cluster like this when they are under threat from a predator, yet there is no predator in sight. They are focused entirely on the burial site. In many cultures, cattle are seen as highly spiritual animals, capable of sensing thin places, areas where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds is particularly porous. The escalation on the compound doesn't just affect the family and their livestock, it has begun to impact outsiders who step onto the property. In this next clip, the atmosphere at the farm reaches a peak of tension during a routine food delivery. It's late at night, and as the delivery driver pulls into the driveway, the cows have returned, but their behavior has taken on a much darker, more aggressive tone under the cover of darkness.
Yep. Oh my god. Hi.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See, this is what I'm talking about. Every freaking night, like even at night, they even come and hang out here, and they just like stand and like. Are you for real right now?
The cows are once again gathered in a perfect, eerie circle around the family cemetery. But this time, they aren't just standing in a frozen vigil, they are emitting guttural, distorted vocalizations that sound nothing like a typical herd. The delivery driver was so scared by the sight and the sound of the animals that he was too terrified to walk back to his car alone, forcing the creator to walk with him to ensure he made it out safely. Skeptics often claim that livestock might huddle together for warmth or safety, but animal behaviorists who weighed in on the footage noted that cows simply do not sound like this. The frequency of the moaning is unnaturally low and rhythmic. In paranormal theory, this is often described as infrasound manipulation. Some believe that high-intensity hauntings or thin places can generate low-frequency waves that physically affect the vocal cords of animals, causing them to emit sounds that are completely outside their natural range. This leads us into the fourth piece of evidence, where the activity seems to have moved from the interior of the house directly to the source of the unrest. Earlier, we saw Josie obsessed with a closet inside the home, but as the summoning behavior of the cows continued at the grave sites, Josie's focus shifted.
Josie. Josie, what's going on?
The dog is no longer barking at the house. She is now standing at the edge of the cemetery, completely still, staring into the empty space between the crosses. She isn't growling anymore. She is in a state of hyperfixation. In the study of hauntings, this transition is significant. It suggests that the entity or energy that was once visiting the house has now fully manifested at its anchor point, the cemetery. Dogs are known to track movement that the human eye can't perceive, and Josie's silent, intense stare suggests she is watching something move through the graveyard, something that the cows are also acknowledging with their nightly rituals. This final piece of evidence brings the entire timeline into a terrifying focus. While we have seen the animals reacting to an invisible force for weeks, the creator discovered that her security system actually captured the entity itself on the same day the delivery man came to her house. In paranormal theory, shadow people are often described as dense, interdimensional entities that lack a human form but possess a distinct, heavy mass. The fact that it triggered a physical motion sensor is the ultimate proof. A camera glitch or a trick of the light doesn't trip a sensor, a physical body does. This suggests that the summoning behavior we saw from the cows wasn't just a strange animal quirk. They were acknowledging the arrival of a manifestation that has now gained enough physical density to interact with the property's security system. When you tie this back to the private family cemetery, a more creative, albeit darker, picture begins to emerge. In some folklore, certain burial sites are guarded by grims or watchers, entities that are either tethered to the souls of the deceased or drawn to the site of the dead to act as a territorial boundary. This shadow figure seems to be the source of the property-wide unrest. It started in the closet, moved to the graves, and is now patrolling the grounds. The animals aren't just acting weird, they are reacting to a shift in the hierarchy of the land. So, what do you think? Is this a guardian spirit protecting the ancestors, or something much more ancient that has claimed the cemetery as its own? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In this next clip, we witness what happens when a subtle haunting rapidly escalates into a full-blown, violent infestation. Most people set up indoor security cameras to give themselves a little peace of mind while they're away from home. But for homeowner Troy Legault, those cameras ended up capturing the exact opposite of peace. The timeline of the activity in this house is what makes it so deeply unsettling. It shows a clear progression of an entity testing its boundaries and gaining strength. This first clip begins with a false sense of security, showing the dining room while the house is completely empty. Out of nowhere, the ceiling fan suddenly turns itself on, spinning with incredible speed before abruptly stopping. If you watch the light attached to the fan, it actually switches on and off exactly as the blades come to a halt, which is a massive red flag for a deliberate manipulation of the electrical current.
What is going on in my house when I'm not home?
As if the fan wasn't enough, look at the background of the shot. A closet door slowly creaks open and clicks shut entirely on its own, repeating the motion several times. If you listen closely to the raw audio, you can even hear a faint growling and a rhythmic knocking coming from that area. In paranormal research, entities often start with these smaller, glitchy movements to test the waters and build up kinetic energy. Whatever invaded Troy's home quickly realized it was being watched, and the physical manifestations only grew stronger from there. The next day, that same closet door continued to act up, but the entity began interacting with much heavier objects to prove its presence.
It's happening again.
You can see the tablecloth being noticeably tugged by an invisible force, but the real kicker is the heavy wooden dining bench. It gets dragged across the floor with a loud, jarring scrape, almost as if whatever that entity is wanted to pull the bench into the closet. Moving solid wood takes a significant amount of energy, proving that this is no longer just a passive, residual spirit replaying a past event. This is an active, intelligent presence. On a separate day, the focus shifts from empty rooms to the people living inside them. Troy's son is just trying to distract himself and regain some sense of normalcy by playing video games. But the entity decides to make it completely clear that the family is no longer welcome there. As objects start shifting and moving around him once again, the boy finally reaches his breaking point. He drops his controller and gets the hell out of there, realizing that even in the middle of a gaming session, he's being hunted.
Daddy? Daddy, it's happening again. Daddy? Daddy? I don't like this. Daddy, I don't like this. Daddy?
While moving furniture is terrifying, coming face to face with the entity is a completely different level of nightmare. In this next piece of evidence, the man's son is hanging out in his room when that same problematic closet door slowly swings open. But this time, it isn't just an invisible force. According to the family, the son actually saw a distinct, terrifying face peering back at him from the pitch black space inside the closet. His blood-curdling scream as he bolts downstairs in absolute terror tells you everything you need to know about what was looking at him from the dark.
Ah! Hello? Mama! Mama! Mama!
At this point, the house is an absolute powder keg. When you look at this specific pattern of escalation, it raises a terrifying question. What exactly is living in this home? Activity that starts with electrical interference and subtle movements before rapidly evolving into throwing heavy furniture usually points to a poltergeist. Poltergeists are notoriously noisy and destructive, often feeding off the raw emotional energy and stress of the people living in the home, especially teenagers, who act like a biological battery for the activity. However, there is a logic pivot here that points to something much more sinister. Manifesting a physical face to intentionally terrify a child is a deeply predatory behavior. Many investigators would look at this timeline and classify it as a demonic infestation rather than a simple haunting. These dark entities systematically break down a family's psychological state. They start by making you question your sanity with moving objects, exhaust you with fear, and then finally reveal themselves to feed off the resulting peak terror. Is this a chaotic poltergeist feeding off the stress of the household? Or has Troy Legault's home become a site of an active, intelligent, demonic infestation? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In the following clip, what starts as a heartwarming family gathering takes a deeply unsettling turn. The footage centers on an elderly woman bathed in the warm glow of candles as her family sings to her. It's a standard, grainy home video, but the atmosphere subtly shifts when you look past the festivities and focus on the open doorway in the background. As the song reaches its peak, a distinct, childlike shadow darts across the room. The movement is quick but deliberate, and the shape clearly resembles a little girl. Watch closely. The grandmother appears entirely unaware of the anomaly behind her, completely absorbed in the moment. Yet, the camera captures what the human eye easily missed in the chaotic joy of the celebration. What makes this particularly chilling is the context that often accompanies such manifestations in paranormal circles. Some viewers theorize that the shadow may be deeply connected to the grandmother's past. A common narrative attached to this footage suggests that the woman may have lost a young daughter many decades ago. If that is the case, could this be the residual energy of a child returning to celebrate her mother's milestone? Or perhaps more ominously, certain folklore dictates that the sudden appearance of a long-deceased loved one acts as a harbinger, a spectral sign that they are preparing to guide the elderly family member to the other side. Is this simply a trick of the lighting, a living relative passing by unnoticed, or a fleeting glimpse of an entity from beyond the veil? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In this next clip, we see exactly why working in a mortuary or a funeral home requires a profound level of mental fortitude and an inherent comfort with the concept of mortality. These facilities are designed to be final way stations for the deceased, places where families gather to release their heaviest, most agonizing emotions. Because of this intense concentration of grief and transition, paranormal researchers have long considered funeral homes to be highly active epicenters for the supernatural. Usually, this activity is thought to be residual, a sort of emotional echo permanently etched into the very foundations of the building. But what happens when that energy stops being a simple echo and begins to interact with the living? Recently, a mortuary worker began documenting her shifts after noticing a disturbing pattern of inexplicable disturbances, and her footage provides a terrifying look at an escalation that defies all logical explanation. The deeply unsettling series of events begins early one morning before the facility is officially open. The worker is alone, surrounded by the sterile, quiet atmosphere of the embalming rooms, quietly prepping for the arduous tasks ahead. Having felt a heavy, oppressive presence in the building during previous night shifts, she decides to keep her camera rolling. The silence of the mortuary is profound, but it doesn't take long for that quiet to be violently broken by an auditory anomaly. Take a look. Listening closely, the vocalization carries a highly peculiar tone. It sounds like a hollow, agonizing wail that almost borders on a mocking laugh. In the context of a funeral home, one might easily write this off as a trick of the acoustics or a draft whistling through the ventilation. However, the sheer volume and human-like cadence of the sound make it incredibly difficult to debunk. But as her documentation continues over the following days, it becomes terrifyingly clear that this presence is not just a passive recording of the past. It is fully aware of her, and it is growing bolder. In a subsequent recording, the worker is no longer alone. She is joined by her son, who frequently accompanies her to assist with the heavy lifting and late-night duties. The presence of a second witness completely shifts the dynamic, grounding the experience in absolute reality. Watch their immediate reaction as the physical environment begins to manipulate itself right in front of their eyes.
Are you always alone when you're there at night? So thankfully I'm not always alone. My son also comes to help me. He has been by my side for the last few years. He's gonna be 19 soon, but he is so respectful, and he also helps on removals, and he helps me dress the loved ones. That's what we just got done with now. Tonight we had a loved one that was in really good shape, very peaceful, and it didn't take us long. And it's to the point where I don't even have to tell him what to do. He is already seasoned enough to know what we need to do. He hands me the correct tools. You know, he's a really good help. And I'm so thankful that Was that you?
No.
Was that you?
No. Look at the video, wasn't me.
What was that?
I don't know.
Well, what'd you hear?
I don't know. I don't know.
Why is that always happening?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm just thankful that he's here. So, and we're done. So.
A heavy, solid door is caught moving entirely on its own, unprompted by any visible force. Mortuary and hospital-grade doors are notoriously weighty, deliberately designed to seal off specific rooms and prevent air circulation. A simple draft, or the natural settling of an old building, simply does not possess the kinetic energy required to unlatch and move a door of that size. The genuine visceral shock on her son's face is perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence here. His fight or flight response is triggered instantly. This leap from an auditory phenomenon to a physical manipulation strongly suggests the anomaly has gathered enough energy to interact with our three-dimensional space. From this point forward, the tension within the facility compounds at a rapid pace, and the entity begins to localize its activity. While standing in the corridor, the mother and son are suddenly frozen by the sound of aggressive, inexplicable shouting originating from the facility's chapel.
Hey you guys, we haven't made a video in a little while, so I just wanted to come on and kind of refresh everybody with just a little mortician tip here. I don't know if everybody's aware. So when you bring in the clothing to the funeral home, yes, you want your loved one dressed in something either they loved, or say they were in the military and they have, you know, military getup that they want on, their favorite shirt, their favorite pants, pajamas even, just so everyone's aware. I think that this is something people don't tend to think about. But in our world, when families bring us clothing, sometimes they're not aware that in order for the clothing to really fit properly, say it's too big, too small, we have to cut the back of the clothing in order to place it on your loved one. So sometimes if families request the favorite shirt back, or, you know, their favorite set of whatever they have on, it will be cut. It's very rare, unless the clothing is perfectly fitted to that person, that the director won't have to cut it. I've worked in several funeral homes where they don't cut it, and it... Is anybody here?
No, what is here?
Who's here? We're the only ones here. I have to go look. Okay, let's go.
The chapel is the emotional core of any funeral home, the exact room where the living confront their final goodbyes. The voices captured here are not faint whispers caught on a sensitive audio recorder. They are loud, confrontational shouts echoing from a completely empty room. The aggression in the anomaly is so palpable that her son immediately states they need to leave, a primal instinct that the mother quickly and wisely agrees with. Fear is a natural response, and when an unseen entity begins raising its voice in an empty building, retreating is often the safest protocol. However, the most terrifying escalation occurs on an entirely separate day, proving that the entity is not a fleeting visitor, but a permanent resident. While filming in the facility, another loud, jarring noise emanates from the chapel doors. Rather than retreating this time, the mother and son decide to cautiously approach the room to investigate the source. But whatever is dwelling in that chapel seemingly senses their approach and pushes back with a massive display of power.
So we're here working. We were hearing some noises in the chapel, so we actually decided to come in the chapel and make this informative video to see if we could catch any of the noises. So I'm gonna explain what this is on today's mortuary information video. So there are times where we get loved ones who are donors. They're bone donors. They take skin, they take what they can for things that anybody may need, right? So when they come to us, we have to prepare them properly, and sometimes there are issues where there can be leakage. So in order to prevent the leakage and keep it contained, the deceased would go in one of these. which is called a unionol. A unionol contains all of the fluid and I thought I heard something. Contains all the fluid, and it makes sure that while your loved one is being presented in the visitation, we don't have any issues with anything, you know. Okay, let's go see. Because now I'm in the chapel and I'm not. Oh my God.
Did the lights go
Dude,
off
the
on
lights
you?
went off right when that happened.
You wanna go?
It's always when we're recording. It never fails.
The camera.
Anyways.
Just as they step forward to uncover the source of the disturbance, the lights in the corridor are completely severed, plunging them into absolute darkness. This sudden blackout is deeply baffling and crosses a dangerous line. In paranormal theory, it is widely believed that spirits and entities require vast amounts of ambient energy to manifest physically or audibly. They will often drain batteries, drop the ambient temperature, or siphon power directly from a building's electrical grid. The precise timing of this blackout suggests an intelligent entity capable of manipulating the environment, either draining the power to gather strength for a larger manifestation or intentionally plunging the room into darkness to assert dominance and incite terror. It is a calculated, psychological strike against the witnesses. Even after this intense, confrontational encounter, the presence refuses to back down, continually toying with the worker and her environment. In a final piece of footage, the mortuary worker is attempting to film a standard update, speaking calmly to the camera. Yet, the entity reminds her exactly who is in control of the space. The lighting above her begins to pulse and flicker erratically. To prove there is no logical interference, she immediately pans the camera to the wall, revealing a completely empty hallway and confirming that no one is anywhere near the light switch.
Everyone, it's 11:45 p.m. and I'm here at the funeral home, and I wanted to make a video to kind of explain. A lot of people aren't aware or are confused as to why funeral directors are at the funeral home at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So death can occur at any time, morning, afternoon, evening, and funeral directors have to be ready to go at any time. So, you know, if a funeral director gets a call, they'll make that removal at the place of death, bring the loved one to the funeral home, and if they are going to be embalmed, that embalming is usually done at that time. So funeral directors can be at the funeral home all night. If they are getting multiple calls while they're embalming, they have to stop and go and come and finish and go and come and stop and all that stuff. So sometimes funeral directors are at the funeral home all night, and then they have to work in the office the next morning, meeting with families, taking out services. It can get really exhausting, but for me tonight, I am here, or I just got finished dressing a loved one for their services tomorrow. And I like to come in the night because there's no one here. It's peaceful, it's quiet. I can take my time and pay 100% full attention to that loved one without worrying, you know, oh, I have to go answer the phone, or I have to leave on a call. I can just actually come and take my time and concentrate. So I do like coming in the night because of that. And okay, that was weird. I don't like that. The light switch is right there, and the light just flickered. And I'm gonna cut this video short because that is cue for it's my time to go.
The intelligence behind these combined occurrences is highly disturbing. We are looking at a clear, methodical escalation. What began as a distant, mournful cry evolved into the physical manipulation of heavy doors, aggressive vocalizations, and the deliberate, targeted manipulation of the building's electrical system. The facility appears to be hosting something that absolutely demands to be acknowledged. Is this simply the collected, heavy energy of 1,000 grieving families manifesting physically in the architecture, or has a specific, highly intelligent entity refused to cross over, trapping itself forever between the chapel and the embalming room? I'll leave you to be the judge. In this next clip, a worker at what appears to be a large cemetery or mortuary complex captures a series of events that suggest he is far from alone during his night shift. According to the man recording, he began documenting the area after noticing small objects being toyed with by an unseen force. Though he speaks in Spanish, the terror in his voice is universal as he repeatedly asks, "Who is there?" The footage begins with a focus on a simple water bottle resting on a flat stone ledge. Take a look.
¿Vieron la botella? ¿Vieron la botella? ¿La vieron? Si estás aquí, manifiéstate. Escucho algo. Escucho algo. ¿Hola? Mira, se cayó. Al mismo tiempo, amigos, mira alguien ahí al fondo. Buenas noches. ¡Ay, Dios! No. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Hola? Ay. ¿Quién eres? Ven. ¿Hay alguien aquí? ¿Hay alguien aquí? ¿Hola?
The initial movement of the water bottle is unsettling. It doesn't slide as if pushed by a localized draft, but rather shifts with a deliberate jerky motion that suggests a physical grip. As the worker ventures deeper into the narrow corridors between the tombs, the activity becomes more aggressive. A large plastic container is caught on camera falling and tumbling across his path, appearing as though it were violently thrown from the dark recesses of the complex. The anomaly only deepens when the camera pans toward the back of the graveyard, briefly catching a glimpse of a pale, stationary figure standing over a grave in the distance. The most baffling part of this encounter, however, involves the religious iconography present at the site. Among the various items being manipulated, the large cross mounted atop one of the tombs appears to shift and tilt on its own. In paranormal research, the physical movement of heavy, fixed objects, especially those of a religious nature, is often categorized as high-energy poltergeist activity. It suggests an entity capable of significant kinetic output, or perhaps a residual energy that has become strong enough to influence the physical world. If you were alone in a graveyard and witnessed a cross-shifting of its own accord, would you stay to see what manifested next, or would you find a new line of work? In the following video, a Ring security camera in a seemingly quiet residential neighborhood captures a sequence of events that has left the homeowner, Adam Gibson, in a state of genuine distress. For weeks, Adam had been noticing peculiar movement on his property, fleeting shapes caught in his peripheral vision, and the sound of footsteps when no one else was outside. Initially, he attempted to brush these occurrences off as local wildlife or simple visual tricks, but the frequency began to form a pattern that made him feel as though he was being watched. His suspicions were finally validated when he reviewed his camera's archive. The footage focuses on Adam's driveway during the late hours of the night. Take a look. As you can see, a small, dark shape suddenly materializes on the left side of the frame and darts across toward the right. What makes this manifestation so baffling is its translucent quality. The texture of the pavement is clearly visible through the figure's form as it moves. It doesn't run with the heavy, rhythmic gait of a living person, but rather glides with a fluid, unnatural speed before vanishing into thin air just as it reaches the edge of the frame. Adam shared the footage in a paranormal research group on Facebook, admitting he is now scared because the activity has become so consistent. In paranormal theory, such sightings are often categorized as residual hauntings, echoes of the past that replay under specific conditions. However, the fluid speed has led some to speculate this could be a more sentient entity. Is Adam's yard a corridor for energy from another era, or is a spirit trying to communicate? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In the next video, a resident named Jorge Luis captures a sequence that blurs the line between a nightmare and a physical manifestation. Jorge explains that while he has experienced vivid dreams before, this night felt as if something were physically present in the room. He didn't wake up with a clear memory, but his surveillance footage revealed an anomaly that has left him terrified.
Get away. Get away. Get away from me. Help. He's also attacking me. I need help, someone. Help. Help. I'm trapped. I'm trapped. Got me out. Got me out. Be her hostage. Oh. This is my family. Don't take my family. Take me instead. Let them go.
At the start of the recording, pay close attention to the cross hanging above his bed. In a move that defies logic, the cross slowly rotates until it is completely upside down. This is a sign often cited in paranormal theory as a mocking presence. As Jorge tosses and turns, a dark, shadowy mass begins to coalesce in the corner, far denser than any natural shadow. The most heart-wrenching part of this footage is the audio. Amidst the silence, strange, disembodied whispers fill the room. Caught in the grip of a night terror, Jorge begins to plead for his life, audibly crying out, "Somebody help me, I need help." As if he is being physically overwhelmed, Jorge shared this footage with his followers, admitting that going back through the recording made him feel that something was actually there. The way the environment reacts to his distress, particularly the manipulation of the cross and the chilling vocal captures, suggests an entity that was feeding off his vulnerable state. In the field of paranormal research, this type of activity is often linked to shadow people or night hag phenomena, where an entity doesn't just haunt a space, but actively targets a person's subconscious. Theory suggests these beings act as psychic vampires, provoking extreme terror and pleas for help because they consume the raw emotional energy released during a state of sleep paralysis. Skeptics might look for strings, but the silent rotation of the cross, paired with those desperate pleas, remains baffling. Is Jorge's bedroom a site for spiritual interference? Or did he invite something in that refuses to leave? I'll let you be the judge.